did I get a little bit too cocky and confident with my Locky two-step last week? Maybe I did. I felt really good about Tuco Tokos, who went out there and did the damn thing, but Calvin Kattar is officially on the washed list. I gave him the benefit of the doubt going up against a guy like Steve Garcia, who we know is a power puncher, but would give him the type of fight that would bring out the best in Kattar if Kattar still had it. But Kattar did not have it. So we have to rip up our Locky two-step there. Even our Locky Trinity was a fumble as well, with Chidi and Jaquani quickly being submitted by Jake Matthews. So we did have a solid winning event last week in terms of just straight-out bets, but in terms of the Locky two-step and Locky Trinity, not the greatest. So let's try to get back on board this week. I think most people will be happy with some of the plays that are some of the legs that I got for this parlay compared to last week. I even had somebody comment saying, would you apologize if this bet does not hit? But I'm not going to apologize. You know what I mean? Like these are spots that I feel confident in going into the weekend. And that's why I put out these videos for you guys. Obviously, I want to be right more than I'm wrong, but there are going to be times where I'm wrong and sometimes where my confidence steers me in the wrong direction. So I'm not going to apologize. I'm just going to continue to do my work moving forward, continuing to keep the confidence that I got in some of the plays that I'm putting out for you guys. And that's why we've been, killing it the last several weeks and several months now because of that confidence. So not everything's going to be a winner, but we're going to try to keep that hit rate high for you guys as much as possible. All right, let's get right into the Locky two-step for UFC 318. The first one up in the first step is going to be Kevin Holland as he takes on Daniel Rodriguez, I should say. This is the chalkiest spot in this parlay. I feel very confident about him. Holland is a guy that I often do not have that much confidence in. I often look to fade him when he's a heavy favorite, but stylistically speaking, this is a great matchup for him to go out there and land those big shots on why do I keep saying David Rodriguez? Daniel Rodriguez. And I think this is a spot where he can utilize his speed advantage, his power advantage, his length, obviously, picking Rodriguez apart from distance. But I think it eventually leads to him getting that knockout victory and hopefully helping us catch this first step in the Locky two-step. The second step is going to be Vinicius Lockdog Oliveira as he goes up against Kyler Phillips. Now, I'm seeing some love come in on Phillips, and I think a lot of people are leaning on some of the technical advantages he may have and some of the potential that he had in the past. But we are seeing over some of his fights recently that, there is a big issue in his game, and a lot of that has to do that if he's not the one in control of the pace of a fight, he will start to slow down and give up these bad spots, just like he did against Rob Font. So even if he looks to grapple Oliveira early here, I don't think he'll have much success. I think that will make him gas out a lot quicker and leave him ripe for the picking for Oliveira. But even if he looks to strike, he could have some success early, but he's going to be eating some big shots from Oliveira in return, and I think that's going to cause him to slow down even quicker as well. So as long as Oliveira doesn't get finished early here, I expect him to quickly put that pace on Phillips and eventually start running away with this, especially in the second and third rounds, which is where I actually see him end up getting the finish here. So Vinicius Oliveira, the second leg in the Locky two-step. Now, earlier this week, I was able to lock in plus 101 on this parlay. A little bit of action on Holland and a reverse action on Oliveira actually brings us down to now minus 101. Now, if you want to complete the Locky Trinity, we're going to go with old reliable Dan 50K Ige as he goes up against Patricio Pitbull, who had a flat UFC debut back in April against Yair Rodriguez. Now, I think we're going to see a little bit more of an aggressive version of Pitbull to try to wipe that taste out of his mouth from his last matchup, but I think Ige is a very tough out. He's never been knocked out. Obviously very tough to deal with when he's in that pocket. But I think Ige's volume advantage, output advantage, I think he's going to put those numbers on Pitbull, who isn't notoriously a high puncher or a high count puncher. He relies more so on his power and knocking out opponents. And I think that's going to cause him some trouble here against Ige, who I think will be able to eat his best shots and then come back in return with some of his big power shots of his own. Pitbull might look to grapple here, but I don't think he'll have all that much success. But I think that Ige, deservedly so, has gone from minus 150 all the way up to minus 220 over the last few days. And I think, like I said, deservedly so. So I'm going to put Ige as the Locky Trinity, the third step in this parlay here. So earlier this week, for the Lock of the Night Patreon folks, they were able to lock this 3-leg parlay in at plus 201. A little bit of action on Ige and Holland has now brought this parlay down to plus 190. All right, there you guys go. Locky two-step, Locky Trinity for UFC 318. Hopefully, we can bounce back from last week's gaffe and get back on the winning track here. I'll be back tomorrow for the prop drop for UFC 318, and I'm going to do my best to get the PFL breakdown out for you guys either later today, aka Thursday evening, or at least by Friday afternoon. They took forever to drop the odds there, so I'm slowly working through that card. If I have the energy to do the breakdown tonight, I'll do it. Otherwise, I'll have it for you guys by Friday afternoon. Stay tuned. All right. I'll see you guys tomorrow or later this evening. We'll see. Peace.